badass business owners, welcome back to the show. This show is about you and how to help you take your business to the next level. Now, what I want to talk about today is the 3 most common things I come across when I start talking to business owners. And as you know, I talk to a lot of different business owners, both every day in my day-to-day business, as well as those that call me up or reach out to me seeking advice. And I will tell you that most of the issues in those early conversations fall into 3 buckets, because most people are struggling in these 3 buckets. And once they start having a plan in these 3 buckets, guess what? The business starts to change the dynamic. They fall in love with their business again, and they start making progress. It's kind of like you start your business off and you feel like you're in quicksand and yet you're sinking sometimes. Sometimes you start off really well and then you kind of hit a plateau. And in some cases, you just never seem to come out the gate. And sometimes you just wake up a year later and you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Or I'm frustrated. But I will tell you that regardless of wherever somebody's at, it's usually because of these 3 buckets and that I want to talk about today. So regardless of where you're at, let's just see if any of this rings true for you, and maybe we can get you just slightly unstuck from where you are today. Now, when I'm looking at businesses, one of the things that I want to do is I want to know where they stand in these 3 areas. So let's talk about area number 1. And the first question that I always want to know is, who do you serve? Now, the problem is most people will sit there and they'll tell me, well, I'm a landscaper. Duh, I do landscaping, or I clean windows. Now, I get the business that you're in, but who do you serve? And when I say that is sometimes it's not clear to ourselves. We want to help everybody. Just because everybody lives in houses and everybody's house has a window doesn't mean that you serve all of those people. Yes, it would be great if you could have every single person who has a window, but that's not going to happen. So what you have to do is you have to continue to dial that down and say the people because you can't focus on everybody. And the minute you try to focus on everybody, you end up getting nobody. And you end up getting frustrated because you can't get any traction, because you can't build a reputation with that type of individual to say that you want to do it. So for example, you might say, we'll stick with the window cleaning since we're talking about that. You might say that, hey, I'm going to let every single real estate agent know that I clean windows because I want to specialize in cleaning windows when someone moves in or moves out, or they're changing out from a property manager, whatever the case may be. Because I understand that if I focus on realtors, not only will I get those types of deals, I will eventually get those people as repeat customers. Because once I latch that customer the first time to clean their windows, they're going to want me to come back out in 6 months. Or you might say, hey, I'm a window cleaner, but I only want to do commercial windows. Therefore, I'm just going to go after the commercial business. That's where I'm going to focus. Or it could be, hey, I'm going to be a 2-story specialist. Most people don't like to clean windows on the 2 stories. I love getting up on the ladder and I love doing that. That's who my primary customer is. I'm going to focus on those big 2-story homes with all of those windows. People tend to have a little bit more money. They got all these dirty windows and they want to enjoy the view. I've got a whole pitch down. You see what I'm saying? The difference is, instead of saying you want to help everybody, you're kind of really saying, hey, what sub niche can I really go after to really make a difference and really build a name for myself? Because this way I'm going to be able to get traffic. Because when you're trying, like I said, trying to hit everybody, it's kind of like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something's going to stick and come back, and you just keep moving and moving and moving, versus really dialing in and really focusing on how you're going to attack this specific customer that you're going to try to go after. Now, number 2, this leads us to bucket number 2. Now, in bucket number 2, you got to have a plan. I can't tell you how many people I talk to that don't have a plan. They don't, if I say, okay, so how are you trying to get people? Well, once again, they're back to the spaghetti against the wall. They're throwing everything. Or they're like, well, I kind of did this, and then I kind of did that, and then I kind of did this. Well, you can't kind of do something. You have to really focus and say, look, I'm going to really focus on getting these types of individuals. So many people, so many businesses, when I ask them, well, what got your business going in the first place? How did you get? Well, I used to do this. Well, why did you stop doing that? Because it wasn't part of the plan. There was no real plan for it. You just were doing it and it was successful for you. And I want to make sure that you have a plan, that you know where you're going, because part of the problem is you keep doing what you've been doing, expecting a different result. What's that? The definition of insanity. You've got to have a plan. It's like, do you even know where you're going? If I was to ask you, hey, what do you want this business to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? You don't have to go out 10 years, 20 years like some people will try to. You don't even have to go out 5 years. But just ask yourself, where do you want your business to be a year from now or 2 years from now? And then work backwards, because you have to ask yourself what has to be true. In order for your business to be this way, you have to say, this is how I'm going to get there. If you have a reoccurring business type model, and you might say, well, I want to have 100 customers that I service on a regular basis. Great. Where are you at today? Okay, well, today I'm at 25. Great. Okay, that's a 75 people customer difference. How are you going to work on getting those 75? Well, that's not going to get you there. You need to have a plan. I'm going to hook up. I'm going to target this particular subdivision or to this neighborhood over here is what I'm going to really go after. I'm going to go knock on every single door within that community. I'm going to do door hangers, or I'm going to go to every commercial business and let them know that I exist and I would love to be able to have that opportunity. And I'm going to keep going until they buckle in. They say yes, but I'm going to do it over and over and over. You get the point? The thing is you got to have a plan how you're going to do it. So you need to, one, figure out where you're going to be a year from now. Let's start small. Just ask yourself, where do you want your business to be a year from now? And work backwards. What has to be true? What has to change? Who's the type? But because remember, if you've answered question number 1 and you know who you're going after, guess what? Creating that plan is 10 times easier. Because if you're going to be a window cleaner going after 2-story homes, well, guess what? Now, when you go door knocking, you know you're going to go knock on 10 houses a day that are big 2-story homes. That's a plan you can put together. And because that's who you're targeting, and you can let them know, hey, I noticed that, you get this big 2-story home, and I know they can be a complete pain in the butt to try to clean those upper windows and stuff like that. I'm a specialist. I specialize in those windows. If you ever would like to do it, I would be glad to do it. Or if it's really bad, just say, hey, I got my equipment here. I can do it even right now if you'd like. It's targeted. The message is targeted to those particular individuals, and you're going to have more success at it. So, the main thing is, how do we keep that business going, and how do we keep your business growing? You got to have a plan. You got to know where you're going and work backwards to figure out how you're going to get there. That doesn't mean you're going to make all the right decisions. A lot of times when I'm sitting down with people, they'll go, well, this is kind of what I'm doing. And it just doesn't work, which, once and done is not seeing if it works. But at the same time, sometimes you got to go back and say, what did you do in the beginning? Think about it. When you were starting your business, you were hustling and you were going all over the place trying to pick up that business. All I'm doing now is focusing that down and saying, hey, if you want to have the business that you want, you've got to know who it is that you're servicing and what the plan is in order to be able to hit that. So I think that's very doable for you. But let's go on to number 3, because honestly, number 3 is probably one of the biggest challenges that people have when I'm talking to them. And this is really a big chunk of why they're not making the money that they want to make. And you know what I'm going to say. If you've been listening to this show, you know exactly what I'm going to say is you don't know your business numbers. You can't go someplace to create the profitability that you want, to make the money you want, without understanding your business numbers, because you're doing it all accidental. Because if you don't know your numbers, how are you even knowing if what you're doing is working or not? How do you not know that you're out there creating, $5,000 worth of business, but at the end of the day, as a business, you're only making $100? Yeah, you put money in your pocket, but you put money in your pocket as an employee of your business, not as a business owner. And if you don't know your numbers, you don't know if you're doing better than last year or not. It feels like I'm doing more. I can't tell you how many times I hear people when I go, so when you take last month compared to the year before, how do you think you're doing? And I get this kind of weird look, and then better. Okay, well, how do you know? How do you know? You don't. It just feels busier. It looks busier. Maybe you made more money, but maybe it was an accident because there was something a year ago that you stopped doing that you don't even realize you stopped doing, and it added more profitability. Or it might be the opposite. I've had this as well, where people are like, man, I'm just as busy as I was last year, but I'm making less money. Well, yeah, you increased your expenses and your costs, and you don't realize why and how that even happened. You've got to know your business numbers. I will promise you, I would say easily 9 out of 10, when I ask people what they did last month in sales, they cannot tell me. They'll give me a general number, but they can't really tell me. If I ask them what they are plan to do the next month, they cannot tell me. All right. If I ask them what their profitability is, they cannot tell me. If I ask them what their expenses are, they can't tell me, or they'll take a guess at what that is. And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But here's the problem. You can't keep running a business without knowing your business numbers. Listen, folks, my main mission is you've got to stop owning a job. You really have to stop owning a job, and you really need to start owning a business, because the majority of the money that you make in your business is you as an employee of your business. That's why you own a job. All right. Just because you go out, and we'll keep picking on window cleaners. Okay. Just because you keep going out there and you keep putting $40 in your pocket, $50 in your pocket, $100 in your pocket, $200 in your pocket does not matter. That does not mean that that money was because you are a great business owner. All right. Because at the end of the day, as a business owner, it's the money your company makes that your business makes after paying you as an employee a fair wage. So if you were to hire someone off the street to do it for $10 an hour, $12 an hour, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, $30 an hour, it doesn't matter. Pay yourself that. That's your wage as an employee. Okay. Your value is not $50 an hour just because you own the business. No. What you do is you get paid as an employee in that business, and then anything above and beyond is you being paid as a business owner. But you got to know your business numbers. You got to know what you did last year. You got to know what you're going to do next month. And this happens over and over. But I will tell you, the minute you start diving in and you start learning your business numbers and really diving into those business numbers, your business changes. Sometimes you do less business, but you make more money because you're targeting and you're focusing on, guess what? Bucket one, who do you serve? By you focusing the best way on there, and then you having a plan. And because you know your business number, those are a dangerous combination. When you know who it is you serve, what the plan is, and how you're going to build that business, and by knowing the business numbers and chasing the right type of sales and chasing the right things that put profit in your company, guess what? You make more money. One of my favorite things is when I hear back from people 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, sometimes 3 years later now, and they tell me about how much more money they make in their business and how much more profitable they are, and they're ready to move on to that next level. And yeah, you know what? It's amazing. I love it. I absolutely get goosebumps and get excited for them because they did the hard work. I just help lay out a path. You know what? My whole thing is you got to get out there and you got to do the work. It's not going to just happen. You're not going to, just sitting there, not doing anything and keep doing what you're doing is not going to change your business. It's not going to put more money in your pocket. You've got to focus on the big three. You got to focus on having a plan. You've got to know who that customer is that you serve, and you've got to know your business numbers. All the rest of it's just gravy. All the rest of it's icing on the cake, whatever you want to call it. But you've got to know those three core things. So I'm not going to continue to rattle on and on and on, but I want you to take a pause. I want you to put podcasts that you're listening to, or if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever the case may be, I want you to just stop for a few minutes and ask yourself those three questions. Ask yourself right now, do you truly know who your ideal customer is and who it is you solve and what pain point you solve? And then do you have a plan? Do you know where you're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now? Do you know how you're going to get there? Do you have a plan on how you're going to make more money and stuff like that? And then do you know your business numbers, or are you winging it? Or do you think you have a gut feeling for it? And guess what? If you can't answer a solid hell yeah to all three of those, you don't even try to do anything fancy. You've got to dial down those three things before you can soar like an eagle. You've got to have that foundation nice and strong. And that means you got to know who you serve, what pain point that you resolve. You need to have a plan. You need to know where you're going and how you're going to get there. And you need to understand the business numbers, because it's going to change the way you make decisions. Because you might find that, yes, while you love those big 2-story homes, you don't make as much money as you do on the single stories, because it takes you 3 times as long to get them done, and you charge by the window. So, oh my God. Or maybe you say, wow, if I charge a premium for these big 2-story homes, I can make a little bit more money, and now it's a better business for me to go after, a different customer for me to be able to go after. See the difference? You start looking at each job differently, because you're looking at, hey, if I'm going to put a plan together, I need to focus my energy on my ideal customer, and I need to focus on the types of jobs that are going to make me money. Because at the end of the day, if it's not creating profit for you, it's not the right thing. Just because it pays you as an employee, but it does not create profit for you as a business, you don't need to be doing it. You're in this for a business. You are a badass business owner. You're not a badass employee. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you can't be a badass employee, and maybe that's the right path for you, but that's not what you're here for. You're here because you want to be a badass business owner. And I'm telling you, a badass business owner knows who they serve. They have a plan for how they're going to grow and build their business, and they know their business numbers. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up. I've beat you over the head enough, and I want to make sure that you remember those core 3 things. You need to focus on those 3 areas, and you need to have a plan, know who you serve, and let's go make some money, okay? Know those business numbers. And if you ever have any questions, don't forget, I am here. You can email me at tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com. And I do have the course, knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com, if you want to know your business numbers better. Or you can just go on YouTube and go look up the videos. I've got videos on there that show you things to do with your business numbers as well. There's all kinds of resources out there for you to help you. I've got past podcast episodes that'll help you as well, where we take a look at some of those things. Just do me a favor, focus on those 3 things, know who you serve, have a plan to where you want to go and where you want to be, and know those business numbers so that way you make money while you're doing it. All right, I'm out of here. This has already gone on too long. I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now. Hey, badass business owner, before you go, as you know, I'm a huge believer in you knowing your business numbers. After all, it isn't about how much you sell, it's about what you keep. And the best way to grow your profits is to start diving in and understanding those business numbers. To help you on this journey, I have created the Know Your Business Numbers course. We will walk through how to read your profit and loss statement. You'll learn the key calculations that'll help ensure that you're making a healthy profit on all of your products or services, plus a ton of other good stuff that'll help you learn how to use those business numbers to create even more sales and profits. Just check out the link below in the show notes or visit knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com. So if you're ready to increase those profits, it's time you start diving into your business numbers.